stuff. So I asked him if he'd be open to coming out here and having a little interview style call with us, nothing fancy, but just to hear a little bit of his perspective. If you want to come out and share just a little bit about your background so people know who you are, but I'm going to start the interview process, maybe like a little bio that you have since I didn't read
Yeah,
anything.
for sure. What's going on? Thanks for having me out. And yeah, but geez, I think it was 12 or 13 years ago. I was working at a butcher shop making $9 an hour, wanting to find a different way to earn an income. I barely graduated high school, dropped out of college first year, didn't really know where my life was going to go or and wasn't really happy with the way that it was currently going. So I was constantly like looking for ways to make money. Google searched how to make money online. Don't do that. But went through and tried everything under the sun: email submits, data entry, paid surveys, affiliate marketing, network marketing, SEO, blogging, like anything I could possibly get my hands on that seemed viable, I was trying. And after all those things, out of the first like 10 things I tried, one I finally got to pay me. And I was so pumped, but it wasn't enough to really do anything with because I made $60 in like 8 months. And then so I was like, wow, like finally made money. That's cool, I guess, but there's no way I could live off that. And I thought maybe there's only these mythical creatures that extract money from the internet, and I'm just not one of them. And went back to the butcher shop, but then luckily, funny enough, found an ad of a current very good friend of mine that was a mentor at the time that was making 20 grand a month living around traveling around the world. And that's when I first started to like understand the concept of like paid advertising and building sales funnels and building systems. And so about a 2-year process after that, ended up getting to my first $10,000 a month and quit my job. But then had a series of unfortunate circumstances where the company that we were promoting didn't like update their stuff and people weren't really getting results. I'd only helped one person make $25. And so I had stopped doing that. And for me, it's like, even if I know I can spend 2,000 on ads and make 10 grand next month, if I'm not feeling good about what we're promoting, or I don't think that we can help people and we're not getting results, like I don't feel good doing that. And so I ended up having to shut it off. And then we ended up finding another thing. And that's where we ended up kind of crafting like the first kind of like system that we had where people, one of the things that we found was that I could get to $10,000 a month, but it was very difficult if we had to teach everyone. You have to learn how to run ads, then you have to build your own sales funnel. You have to write all of your copy for your own funnel. You have to do your own webinar or sales video or whatever that might be. If they buy, you're going to do your own sales calls. You had to do every part of the process and build it all yourself. And if you didn't do that and any one of those pieces didn't work, you didn't make money. So it was a long learning curve. And so when we went to the next company, we were like, we know how to build sales funnels. We know how to write the copy. We know how to mail the list. We know how to do the webinars. What if we just, there was no affiliate coding at the time, but we're like, what if we just duplicate our funnel for every person and we just build their own version of it and just do it over and over and over again. And it went from nobody making money to we had over 100 people make 6 figures in their first year online. And then that was when things got really, really cool. But then the issue about that was the company ended up misleading us about company data and like how much customers were worth and how the product really worked and that it worked. And a lot of things just didn't, we were made a lot of promises that weren't fulfilled on. And so get to the same kind of point where we need to figure something out. And that's when we, funny enough, every about 3 months or so, we do these mansion events. And my mentor at the time, Cameron, would run these events. You'd have a 15,000 square foot mansion. And for me at that point, like I could never afford to stay in a place like that. But if I split the room with 4 people, I could do it. And so I got to experience a level of luxury that I never got to experience before, which was a huge thing just from like a visualization perspective when I got back. But then there was always these machines there. And I was like, oh, geez, like my friend told me that's what was introduced to us at first. We're like, no way. There's no way that was going to do that. And fair enough, we do that, wake up the next morning, we feel great. We're like, what the heck? And so it became this joke every time we would go to the event. We're like, yeah, let's go. And so eventually, this is the part I love the most, is eventually I didn't know there was a business attached to it. So I just bought the product. Like we were buying the product just for the value of the product because we had been using it at those events. But then also anytime we went to Cameron's house, we'd be using it for months at a time. And we just noticed we had a lot more mental clarity, a lot more focus, but we had no idea that there was a business attached to it. And so when we had all the issues with the previous company, we actually, not even thinking of it, looked for other companies and we're looking for other things to promote and didn't find anything that we felt good about. And so even though we knew like at the time we were making about I just had a $50,000 month. I knew the next month I could spend, at the time I'm spending around $12,000 on ads. I knew I could spend 12,000 and make 50 again. But again, I'm not going to do that if I don't feel good about it. And I don't feel that we're able to help people to the best ability that I think we can. And that I feel like the product that we're selling them doesn't do what we were sold that it was doing. Right. And so now we're looking for something else, couldn't really find anything. And Julian goes, well, dude, what if we already have the machines? What if we just try it and see if it works? If it doesn't work, we're in the same boat anyways. We don't have an offer. Like, we got to find something. And so we unplugged the other offer. Next thing you know, we do $130,000 in the very first month of us transitioning over. All of our people that were doing 10, 20 grand a month started doing 30, 40, $50,000 a month. What we thought was going to decrease our conversions because the product cost went up. We were selling something that was $2,500 before that. So now getting up to selling higher ticket packages, we assumed that conversion rates would go down. We were blown away when they actually went up, because instead of selling digital stuff that doesn't work, we are selling a physical product that actually changes your life. And people loved it and resonated with them. They realized that, like, they have a product that's going to last them for 25 years of their life. And so it blew everything out of the water that we expected. Everything went kind of crazy. And now it's been to the point where, gosh, we were doing the numbers earlier. It's like over 1,100 people have done over $300,000 in sales, which is 57% commission. That's over $150,000 in commissions. And so that's the part where it gets really, really cool, because it's now in a place where not only can we make a lot of money, we can promote a product that, like, I was willing to buy without the intention of even knowing there was a business behind it. And so, like, most times in the industry, you're buying the product to sell the product. And that's the only reason you're buying it. You wouldn't normally just buy the product. And so we have a huge thing where the value of the product stands alone on its own. And then also on top of that, we have the ability to make a tremendous amount of money. And then with the group that you guys have here, you have people that have already kind of laid the groundwork and laid the path. They've already built the systems and funnels and marketing processes and training to literally walk you guys through click by click, step by step on how to do all that stuff. So you don't have to do what I did and spend a bunch of years trying to figure all this crap out. You can just focus on the simple steps and have the majority of this process kind of automated for you. So yeah, it's really, really cool to see, and excited to be here and chat with you guys. Sorry, it was a long-winded answer for that.
No, I love it. Everything you were saying, I was like, yes, yes. Oh my God, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yeah, because there's a lot of people in this Facebook group who are watching who have not affiliated yet. First of all, thank you for pioneering this space for us. And I think one of the biggest golden nuggets that you just shared was at the end there. Just I am so in awe about how easy this business gets to be. Like, really, if you're able to, and I know that people are looking at me like, what do you mean easy? But really, if you dumb it down and think about all of the work that has been put into creating our platform, creating these videos, creating these Facebook groups, these web classes, these webinars, all people have to do is really plug it in. And then it's like, it sells itself or it doesn't. And it's fine either way. It's either for you or it's not. And it's fine either way. So all you guys need to do is see if you have people who want to do this. And if they do, cool, let's get them started and you get paid. And if they don't, cool, on to the next. Because we have ads and we have things running in place that's like, or some people are doing organic marketing and they're bringing people into webinars. And because I'm excited about it, because you guys, I started this business and there was no reason that I should have made $2.5 million in 5 years. Like, no reason. Parents are struggling addicts. I had such low self-worth, anxiety, depression, like no money to my name, never had connections. There was no reason for me to do this. But what I did have was a will and excitement and gratitude for this business. And it never stopped. I just kept going. So anyways, this call is not about me, but really just always inspired when I talk to Jang, because I feel very similar to him. I feel like we have similar stories and all of that. So, all right, Jang, let's start with the interview process here. We had a couple questions submitted for you, so I'm going to pull those up here and I'm just going to get going with that. One of the questions that you don't have to go too far into this, because we actually have a call tomorrow. My husband is going to come on and one of the other super successful women's husband is going to come on and talk about their perspective, but would just love to hear your perspective on skeptical husbands, because there's a lot of those, and maybe you could do a better job speaking to them than us women can, because we're like, yeah, screw them. Like, just if he's holding you back, he's holding you back. Really, from a guy's perspective, from a husband's perspective, what does it mean to you to support so your wife in a journey like this, or like what, like, because you're a male and you obviously this isn't a scam, but you know what I mean? What would you say to those husbands?
Yeah, so I think it's obviously there's a time and a place to be skeptical. One of the things that I usually do whenever I talk about things like this is I remember like when I first got started, there was definitely a part of me that was skeptical of any business when I first got started, right? And we got to be clear, right? It wasn't that everything like there was a part of me that was skeptical. There was also another part of me as well, though, that was like, what if this could be the thing that actually gets me out? And so, regardless of whether it's a guy or a girl, and I'll talk about both, but I usually have the opposite side sometimes because I'm mostly dealing with guys. So they'll have the wife maybe come in and go, I don't know, I don't really get that. Same kind of thing you guys will have on both ends. But one of the things that I find that is one thing to be really clear of, and so I'll start with on the guy side, is as the guy, right when if you're the one, especially that's a lot of the times when we see that scenario, it's like the guy's the one maybe out working, maybe they work out of town, maybe they or wherever it might be, and a lot of times the mom's the stay-at-home mom. If that's the case, it makes it really, really easy. But if even if she's kind of part-time there, you got to look at it's when you look at like what the potential is. So everyone kind of understands and knows that the only way to create like true freedom is to have some sort of control over your income, where your income is like performance based. A lot of people tie that to entrepreneurship, but that can also come from sales as well. It doesn't technically have to be an entrepreneur, but something where your income isn't capped by the hours you put in. It's limited only by your production, right? And so we know that that's to be true. Otherwise, no matter how many dollars you make per hour, even if you make $100 an hour, like you're limited by that much. You can only work so many hours, right? And so if you want to get to a point where you have not only a substantial income, but also an income with leverage, the only way to be able to do that is to be able to do it through some sort of performance-based work, whether that be sales or a business. Now, when you look at businesses, most people look at that. And even if you're trying to go the franchise route, which is, I would say, like the easier route of starting a business, because like we don't have to build the product. We didn't have to do the market research to find out how to make these products, right? We don't have to put them together. We don't have to ship them out. We don't have to deal with the customer support of it. We don't have to have offices all over the world globally. We don't have to pay for all those employees. We don't have to pay for, like, there's a lot of things that allows you to still have the income potential and the leverage of, if I make more money, like if I make more sales, I make more money. It's performance based. It's not if I spend more time, I make more money, right? So I have the ability to be able to earn a bigger amount of income, but also in less time. That's the only way to be able to do it. We know we have to have some sort of performance based work. Now, if you're to compare a business, like a true business, like you go to open up a business, right? Into hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even if you go into a franchise, right? What's the cheapest franchise you can find? 50,000, maybe, like maybe, but probably 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. And why are you paying for that, right? What's a McDonald's? $1 million. Why are you paying $1 million for McDonald's? Well, they have it systematized and they have it done. And the great way I like to kind of look about the model that we do is it's almost like a franchised model of affiliate marketing, right? You're not having to go and build the sales funnels in the beginning. You're not having to go and make all the trainings. You have the trainings all done for you. You have a lot of these pieces that are kind of all done similar to the way a franchise is done, right? You're not having to go and create the products and do all this stuff. It's kind of already done for you. And you get to just follow along and follow the system and be able to get results. And so this actually allows us to have the biggest amount of earning potential by having something that's performance based while starting off at a fraction of the cost that you'd have to do to start any other business, right? And any other business that you would start, not only would you have a bigger startup cost, but then you also have inventory costs, you have rent costs, you have employee costs, you have shipping costs, you have all these other things that come into place. Where here, we show you how to generate leads and close sales, and that's it. And like everything else is kind of handled, and the training to show you how to do that all is extremely easy. So now, not only can you actually earn a heck of a lot more than like most business owners that I know, I earn like profit wise quite a bit more than most of them, even people that you see doing millions and millions of dollars, because my expenses are so low, right? My expenses are so low, and we have a model that actually allows you to have leverage so that instead of you just being like a typical salesperson, you actually get to be like the sales manager at the car dealership or the person that owns the real estate company and they have realtors under them that sell houses. And so not only can you earn income just from your own personal production, but then you get to build a team of people that you're earning a percentage off of what they earn. So you're actually incentivized to help people, which means not only are you incentivized to help people, but that people above you are incentivized to help you, which find another business where that happens as well. It doesn't happen. You're on your own, figure it out, right? You get to have people that have already done it go, this is how I run my ads. This is how I do my organic content. This is how I build my funnels. This is how I do this. And here we already have funnels for you. Go and run them. We already have it all done for you. Go and run it. So it allows you to like have this huge income potential with a very, very small in comparison investment. Like you say $10,000, $15,000. Yeah, that sounds like a lot, but I can guarantee you right now, if you were to look through, like you can finance that for like 200, 300 bucks, into 400, 200 to 400 bucks a month, depending on credit and what you're looking to get. And I can almost guarantee, and if you think long term, and instead of thinking right now, like, yeah, it might be a lot now, but over the lifespan of this is actually going to save me money. And I'm going to be healthier. And it's going to impact my life, my wife's life, my husband's life, my kid's life, whoever it might be. Right. And so taking the business outside of it, you should buy it just for that. You'll save money just for that, and you'll be healthier just with that. Now, on top of that, you also get a business with it that gives you the earning potential where, like, when people think about careers and who gets paid the most, you think about doctors, dentists. I tell you right now, like I make more than most doctors, most dentists, and I work way less than all of them. Like not even close. Like they work way harder than me, do way more work than I do, and I still make more than them. You know what I mean? But the only reason I'm able to do that is because we have leverage, right? So you have to, if you want to create a life that's different from the one that currently exists, a lot of people are working and they have their husbands working away and maybe the mom's at home, or it could be the other way around, and you want to be able to just have more time with your family. And also like for me, even if it meant I made less money, but I didn't have to spend 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week away from my family, that would be worth it for me. The great part about it is you actually get to make more money and like eventually have the point where you run a business that actually takes less time. Like you can really get to the point that you have this very easily managed in like 10 max 20 hours a week. And if you wanted to, it can be less than that, but like it's not something that ends up being too crazy. And so as far as like when you have skeptical, I think the big part is you get both groups together to see the information. So like if it's a guy, if it's a girl and they have a skeptical husband, I think they should all go through the information and go through everything and see see it all together. But then really take a look at like what's the alternative out here? Because if you're going to try to get out of the situation that you're in and try to make more money, there's only a few ways you can do that. You're either going to start a business or you're going to go into some sort of sales performance based work is the only way you're going to be able to do that. Most of the time when you go into sales performance based work, it's cutthroat because no one's incentivized to help you. You getting a sale takes a sale away from them. So they don't want you to outsell it. Here, they want if you get a sale, Lacey wants you to make a sale because that makes her money too. So she's going to show you everything that works for her. Whereas if you've ever worked in like a car dealership or a realtor's office, no one's sharing you the secrets. They're not telling you how they're generating leads. They're not unless they're the one above you making a piece off of you, they're not going to show you that stuff. So while some people kind of look at this model and they go, oh, like, I don't like that. There's a CEO. What's below them? They have a COO, a CMO, a CFO. What's below them? They have their direct reports. What's below them? All your entry-level employees. What does that look like up here? Every one. The only difference is at your job, you have zero chance of being the one at the top, being able to earn off everyone. A very small percentage of you have the chance to get up there. And even if you do, great. You have a golden ball and chain. Yeah, you make 300 grand a year, but you work 80 hours a week. Cool. Like you have all this money, you have no time to be able to spend it, right? It's like now you have the ability where you can work, you can make a substantial amount of money while taking yes, you're taking risk, but you compare that to starting a mom and pop store and having $150,000 startup, $5,000, $10,000 a month for rent, $5,000 a month in inventory. You have employees you got to pay and all this other, like it's far less risk than any other business you'll ever start ever. And the earning potential is so much higher because we're getting paid. Like, think about this too. This is a good perspective. Most businesses, like a healthy business, operates at like a 20% margin. I don't know if you guys know this, but like a 20% profit margin is healthy. Of course, if you can get more than that, great. But like 20% is very healthy. We're with our supplement company right now. We've done about, it's almost, I think we're at $9 or $10 million in sales in the last 2 years. We operate at like a 22% margin right now, right? On that. Now, with this, we get paid 57% commission and we don't even own the company. Like, we make more money than the owner does of the company selling his products. That doesn't happen. So now it's as if you own the company. You're getting paid selling the product, as if you're getting paid more than the owner of the company selling the products, which doesn't really exist and doesn't really happen very often. So it's like, in so many ways, it's better. Income potential is through the roof. You can go from, you can be making nothing. You can be all the way to maybe making millions of dollars a year, right? And there's no extra cost, like at that same cost, right? When it comes to startup costs, instead of hundreds of thousands of dollars and then monthly hundreds of thousands of dollars more, you start from like $200 to $400 a month, right? And so your risk is actually substantially lower than most businesses. You get to earn as if you own the business, right? Like, you're earning as much income in commissions, where it's as if you spent the hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to start the business. Like the only reason I'm able to do the supplement one, which cost millions of dollars to start, was because I did this. I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't know how to write copy, and I didn't know how to run ads, and I didn't know how to build funnels. There'd be no chance I'd be able to do that company. The only reason I was able to do it is because I started here. And it started by just learning the basics and by having people like Lacey and all the girls here to show me like what to do, right? And once I learned what to do, I applied it to the business here. But then those skill sets are applicable to every business on the planet. There's not a business on the planet that couldn't benefit from getting more leads or more sales, or building a sales funnel, or improving their conversions on a sales funnel, or anything like that. And so it opens up actually a heck of a lot more doors by getting into an entry-level business where it's a fraction of the cost, where you have people that have already got the results that you're looking to achieve, that are actually incentivized to help you and will help you, and will show you exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it. You have the income potential to be able to earn as if you were the business owner without having to take on all of the risk of actually being the business owner, right? So like, in every way, it's better. It's a better model, right? And so it's the easiest, by far the easiest way, lowest risk investment to be able to get into a real business potential income, where you can actually create a substantial amount of income, but also do it with leverage, where it's not going to be taking 80 hours a week away from your family and your friends and stuff. So that was, again, a super long-winded answer, and I'm sorry that seems to be the pattern of mine.
I love
Um,
it. No, you're speaking literally to my heart. Like, everything that you're saying is so valuable, and so good to hear it from a guy's perspective too, because sometimes people just hear it differently. But everything you just said, gold. I can't even, I mean, I could talk for 3 hours about everything you just said, but that's where the gratitude for me comes in. Cause I'm like, don't you all see this? Don't you understand? We're sitting on a gold mine, and how am I here? And how did I get this opportunity? And I was literally $20,000 in debt when I was saying those words, and I still say it today. So super, super important little gold nugget there. There's a lot of people who feel like they maybe missed the opportunity here. And I know that, and some people even said in the chat, like, we're 1%, but maybe you could talk about those kind of fears.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the fear around the loan, we'll start with that one, is, the thing is, likely it's not the fear around the loan, because you likely have like either a car loan or a mortgage or something like that. Like, you've likely had things like that. And the issue usually revolves around like more of, is this something that like, is this something I can do, kind of thing. But when it comes to like loaning money to start a business, I think if you ask almost any business owner, there's a lot of people that follow like the whole bootstrap side of things, where they're like, no, I don't believe in taking money, or like raising capital for stuff, which I get. But the thing is like, I know, like, when I first got started, that's all I can talk about, is kind of like from my experience, is when I was first getting started, like, I didn't really have the money to come up with a lot of stuff. So I had to save up forever just to get started with like the lower level of packages. And then it took me a long time where like at the products that we ever promoted before, we didn't have the option to finance those because they weren't medical grade. Like it wasn't anything we could finance. And so once we had the ability to be able to do that, I think it really kind of comes down to where like how bad do you really want it, is kind of the thing. Because when it comes to like taking a loan, yes, it's a level of risk, but everything in life that's worth anything comes with risk. There's different levels of that, but the thing is like a lot of people come here because they want to be able to earn a level of income that's different from the level of income that they're currently earning, right? And the only way to be able to do that is to take some sort of risk in whatever different way, meaning you either try to look for a different job and maybe go start at a different career that maybe pays more money. Maybe you go into a sales industry, maybe you start a business, but no matter what it is, you're going to have to take some sort of risk. And if you're not willing to take the risk, then you don't deserve the reward. This is the thing. If we want to be able to get to the point that getting the reward, we have to be willing to take the risk. And if we're not willing to take the risk, that's fine. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong, but we don't get the reward then. And so we have to be okay with that, right? Like we can either live our life with no risks and no rewards, and it's kind of going to look like a flat line. That one thing I've learned over the years is that like everything in life is a perfect combination of like positives and negatives. And that's what makes life life. We wouldn't appreciate light if we didn't know what darkness was. You know what I mean? We have to have darkness to have an appreciation for light. Like we have to have both sides of things. Like we can't have reward without taking risk. Otherwise the reward wouldn't be valuable, right? If there was no risk involved to doing it, right? And so like that's what makes the reward valuable is like you have to be going through and putting in the work to be able to create it. But the great part about that is it it's one of those things that like the way I looked at it was, yes, it's a level of risk. And I know most people aren't going to be willing to take the risk. So I'm going to do it because then it puts me ahead of almost everyone. There's no traffic on the extra mile. You know what I mean? And so if you're willing to go through and do the extra little bit or take the extra little bit of risk, it separates yourself from the rest of the people, which means you get to earn income differently than the rest of the people. Like if I'm willing to go through and do that. And so it's like, if you want to be able to create a life where you get to earn an income like that, you got to be willing to take the risk in order to get those results. And if we're not willing to take the risk, that's fine. But then we have to be okay with not getting the results then. Right. So it's like, how, that's just what it is. If you want to get better results in your life, you want to make more money, it's going to come with risk. No matter what way you do it, it's going to come with some level of risk. The great part about it is I think that this is, if you work it, and when I mean work it, like if you treated this the same way you would treat going to university for 4 years, it's almost impossible to not make money. But if you come in and treat it like a hobby and you off and do nothing, the same way that if you went to school and off and didn't do anything, yeah, you're not going to make any money. If you skip class and don't show up, yeah, you're not going to make any money. But if you just show up to the class and do your homework, you're probably going to pass, right? Like that's really it. It's not about doing a crazy amount of stuff. It's like show up, do your homework, make sure you're improving and doing stuff every day, and that's it, right? Like when I first started, I didn't know how to write copy. I didn't know how to do sales. I didn't know how to build funnels. I didn't know how to do ads. I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to do anything. I could barely type on a keyboard. I still use two fingers. Like I'm not. You know what I mean? But I was just like, there's a huge opportunity here. I know I don't know how to do it, but there's people here that know how to do it. And I'm just willing to just be coachable and model and follow whatever they have. Like that's the easiest way to learn anything. Like, how do we learn anything ever? If you want to get good at basketball, you got a good basketball coach. You want to get good at gymnastics, you got a good gymnastics coach. Same thing in business, except that's not really a thing as much without, if you're getting to business coaching, you're spending tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, right? Where the great part about it is you essentially get business coaching just by getting in the business. So you kind of have that baked into it. So it's like we have the business coaching. You have the training that shows you how to do all of the marketing and how to generate leads. You have funnels that are already built for you. You have calls where you get to learn from people that are already getting the results that you're looking to achieve, and you can just model and follow what they do, right? There's so many ways where we've eliminated variables that just make it so much easier for like a brand new person to get in and start getting results. So yeah, as far as like the loan go, you got to be willing to take the risk if you want to get the kind of reward for it. And now that I went on this long-winded answer, the other question I lost. What were you saying? There was the loan part, there's fear.
Go ahead.
Fear of something.
Saturated market.
Saturated market, right? So that's a common. So that's just a common one you'll get always. So saturated market, and I've been hearing internet marketing or affiliate marketing was a saturated market for 10 years. You know, and it's an excuse for people that like want a way to justify why they didn't do the thing or why they're not going to do the thing. It's not because I can't do it, or it's not because no, I would have done it, but it's saturated. That's why I can't do it. You know, it's like people always want to find excuses. Like if you want something bad enough, you find a way. And if you don't want it bad enough, you find an excuse. Right. And that's just how it works. Right. Like if you want it bad enough, it doesn't matter how saturated the market is. The thing is, it's not even past 1% market penetration in the US out of, so you have whatever that is, 350 million other people in the US alone. Never mind the world. We're constantly opening different places. They got offices in Dubai now, all over the place. They're opening offices constantly. Market saturation is just, people were telling us that 10 years when we first started, or 8 years ago, and they were telling us that the previous company, the same thing, and they were telling us that the previous company, same thing, right? Like it's not a thing I would ever worry about ever because there's no shortage of people. There's millions of dollars just from our group every month of people buying these things all over the world. And so that's really just an excuse to not start, right? And so the way I would look at it, like, it's not like, even if it did get to a higher saturation, if you know how to market, that's not an issue. Saturation is an issue for people that don't know how to advertise. That's it. If you know how to advertise, saturation is not really an issue. If you know how to advertise and you have a really good product, right? Like, because you got to think about what saturation means. Like to get to true saturation, right? Like it's got to be something crazy, like something like a Coca-Cola that's everywhere in every store and every place you go and you can't get away from it and it's there. It's like, yeah, if that's where it got to, then yeah, it'd be hard to be able to sell these things. But we're not even close to that. Like not even close. Like what is it? They just crossed 1 million machines, I think. There's 7 billion people on the planet. You know what I mean? Like it's not like 7,000 times more opportunities. So like this, it's kind of crazy. So it's one of those things that saturation is really just an excuse to not start something. It really is. So if you're getting that excuse from people, it's really like getting clear on like, what do you want this or not? Right. And you got to get really, really clear on like, why do they want this? Right. And that's what I find, like whenever I'm starting to get objections like that of like fear-based stuff or all that, what all of this stuff usually kind of stems around and comes from is their own either disbelief in themselves and their ability to get the result. So they don't believe that they can do it, or they don't believe and they don't see the value in the offer, and that's the value there. It's usually one of those two things. And what we typically do for anyone like that is like really just find out why they want it, and they have to want it bad. Like they have to want it, right? Just like anything, you go into any career and you want to be good at it. Like you have to really want it. And so you got to get clear on why you're doing this in the first place. I know when I first got started, I remember being in my overdraft every week because I couldn't afford to pay for anything really, and legitimately eating ramen noodles every day, legitimately having cans of ravioli in my car, and when they go on sale for $1, I bought 200 of them so I didn't have to worry about buying other food. Like I remember being like that, and I remember hating it, and I remember growing up and my parents were arguing about money constantly, and it was just a constant thing of that. And so like for me, I knew all the way growing up that like I was gonna figure out something. I didn't know what it was, but then when I saw an opportunity like this, I wasn't letting it go by. I didn't care. Like it took me 2 years to make my first sale. 2 years spending money on ads, spending money on products, spending money on training, spending money on going to events, not making anything. Right. And then I finally get my first sale, and I had spent like, $5,000 between ads and courses to get a $25 sale. But while most people would have been in that situation and go, oh man, I spent $5,000. I only made $25. I was so pumped. I was hitting all my friends. Like, I just made $25 of someone that doesn't even know who I am. And they bought a product from me. And they're like, well, how much money did you spend? I'm like, well, I spent $2,000 on ads, and I spent $5,000 on this course, and this. They're like, so you lost like $6,975. Why the f are you so excited? And I'm like, you don't get it. Like, I ran an ad. Someone that doesn't even know who I am saw the ad and then just bought a product from me. And I'm like, if I can do that once in a day, I can do that every day. And if I could do it every day, could I do it twice a day? You know, and like that just showed me that it was real. And once I knew it was real, then there was no, now it's like, no, I'm in. Now, like there's nothing that is going to stop me getting out of this. And so what did I do at that point? After I'm still in debt at this point, I'm not making it, I'm not profitable, right? But I had my first sale. Now my identity just shifted. I'm like, that's it. I'm an affiliate marketer now. And that was kind of a big thing too, was like the identity shift. I wasn't a butcher anymore. Like I'm an affiliate marketer. This is what I am now. Right. And so if I'm an affiliate marketer and I'm a successful one, how am I going to act? How am I going to show up? Am I going to be around on Friday and going out with my friends and going and drinking and partying? Or am I going to be at home on a workshop like this, or going through training, or shooting videos to put up for ads, or following up with my leads, or going and doing this? Like I shifted my entire identity at that point. And now I was like, no, this is what I'm doing. Any extra time and any extra money is only going to this. As soon as I get home from work, this is what I'm working on. Right? As soon as I get up before I go to work, this is what I'm working on. In between on my breaks, this is what I'm working on. If I can sneak away and get on a sales call while I'm at work, I will do it. Right? And I did that multiple times. You know, like and so it was just that I was obsessed. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not settling for anything less. I know it's possible. I saw one other person do it. That shows me that it's worth it. Now, the great part about it is you see so many people do it. Just in your group alone here, you guys have so many people that have created incredible results. So it's not just one person. But for me, yeah, I had to at least see the one person. That's all I needed, right? Just the same thing with the 4-minute mile. If you guys know the story about the 4-minute mile, everyone thought it was impossible. No one could do it, right? But the second one person did it, all of a sudden everyone started doing it because now they knew it was possible, right? Before it wasn't possible, so no one did it. No one even tried, right? But once you know it's possible, then all of a sudden everyone starts coming in and starts trying to do it. And so it's one of those things that if you just dedicate the time like that, just like, you know, if you were going to go to school and you were going to make sure that you were actually taking it seriously, meaning that when you went home, you did all of the homework, you did all of your essays, you turned everything in on time, you made sure that like everything was done. Like it's really not a matter of if you become successful, it's just a matter of when, right? So it's one of those things that you can either, right? Like you either make it happen or you make an excuse. It's really what it comes down to. And once you decide that you're going to make it happen, you have to be someone that like, you just got to stick to it. Right. And like audit your time, audit your money. And that's the easiest way to do it, because I can almost tell, like a lot of people say they want to make money. They say they want to run a business. You give me your calendar right now and I'll tell you if you really want to run a business. I'll tell you if you're really serious about it. I'll tell you if you're serious about your health or not. Right? Like if I look at your calendar and there's no scheduling going to the gym every day, or there's no scheduling of you, you know, going in and doing, whether it's attending classes or going through training or doing anything like this, and your weekends instead filled of you going out and drinking, or you going out and doing anything other than something that's going to push you forward in life, it's going to be very difficult, right? Like this is the thing, is it does come with, there has to be some level of sacrifice, right? It's more than just capital risk, right? It's also time risk. We're going to have to invest our time to be able to do this, right? But if we get really clear on why we want to do this, right? Why we're doing it in the first place. For me, it was like, I grew up poor. My family grew up poor. I constantly heard them arguing about money. I wanted to just feel like I didn't have to worry about that. And I wanted to be able to travel. I never got to travel when I was younger growing up. I wanted to be able to travel. I wanted to make sure when I had kids that I could travel with them. You know, like I wanted to be able to have not only the income, but I wanted the lifestyle. I wanted to have the time freedom to be able to do that as well. And so once I found an opportunity like this to do this, that was it. And like once, all I had to do was see one person doing it, and then I remember like this. I remember it like it was yesterday, getting that one first sale. And as soon as I got that, it was like, oh, this is it. And again, it took me another year or so after that, you know, to get to like a $10,000 a month. So it was like a 3.5-year process to get to the point of like $10,000 a month and quitting my job, right? But my mentor would always tell me, like, what would you do if it took you 4 years of you only spending money? You only spent money on products, on courses. You're spending money on, maybe it's events, maybe it's advertising, but you only spent money. You didn't make a dollar. But at the end of that 4 years, you had the ability to write your own paycheck for life. Would it be worth it? If you answer yes, then do it. Right? And if you don't answer yes, then that's fine. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong, but don't do it. right? Like like it's just like anything, right? Like imagine wanting to be a doctor, right? And then like a year in, you're like, what? I can't do. I want to do a brain surgery. Like, no, you're a year into being a doctor. Like, well, I can't do brain surgery. It's like, of course not. You've been in a year. You're expecting to like no, you got to be willing to put in the time to learn the skills. Because the thing is, just like any industry, we have to learn the skills, right? You have to learn advertising, whether free or paid, whether that's organic or running paid ads, right? There's certain skills that we got to learn throughout this. But if you learn those skills, you literally have the ability to write your own paycheck for life. That's why I can launch a supplement company. It is because I know how to run ads, I know how to build funnels, I know how to write copy, I know how to write sales messages. And so I was able to do all of that stuff over there. If I didn't know that, there's not a chance I could go into a super competitive market like this and have a chance at it. Right. But like it's one of those things that you people just I think don't treat it like it's a real career. And I think they don't look at it like it's a real career. Um, And I think it's I think especially years ago, no one thought it was a real thing. Right now, it's getting to the point where almost everyone knows somebody who's making money online in like some way, shape, or form, whether that be remote work, whether that be on YouTube, whether it be an influencer, whether it be a coach or a course creator. But it's quite a bit more common now. And people are starting to see that, like, oh shit, this is a real thing. Like this is actually a legitimate career. Great. Treat it like one, and you'll get incredible results, right? Like as soon as it gets to the point that there's like university level curriculum on this stuff and it's that mainstream, like that's when you can start arguing about saturation, right? Like when it starts to get, but we're still at a point where, yeah, you might know someone, but it's not it's not out there like everyone in the sun is doing it. And that's great because that's what allows us to have the opportunity, right? If everyone is already doing it, then we don't have the opportunity. Like a lot of the times it's really not having clarity on why you want to do it in the first place. And so first you got to think about that and like write this stuff out. Like if it was your perfect day, what would you want it to look like? Where would you be? Who would you be with? What would you be doing? Would you be living in a different house? Would you be living in a different place? Would you have family? Would like get really clear on all of that stuff and why you're doing it. And when your reason why is big enough, right? The thing is right now, people come up with these excuses where they go, oh, it's too hard, or oh, it's saturated, or oh, it's if their vision or goal of what they think is possible is kind of down here and they see these problems, no one's going to go through these problems to get this result. You know what I mean? Or to get this benefit, right? It's skewed. They're not going to go that way. But if your vision for what you believe is possible by seeing everyone and seeing what the results that people have got and seeing how well everything's been put together and how everything is literally click by click, step by step on how to do everything. And then you get clear on why you're doing it in the first place and who's going to benefit from your results other than you. All of a sudden your vision becomes way, way bigger. Well, now these problems don't seem like an issue anymore. You know what I mean? Like I'll easily take these problems to get this result. You know what I mean? But if the vision's down here and we don't really believe in it or in ourselves or what's possible, or we don't even just know what's possible because we haven't talked to anyone about it, well, then these problems seem like a big deal, right? So if you get really, really clear on why you want to do it and what the potential is and what you're looking to accomplish, and then see that you have a community of people that not only will give you training that walks you through click by click, but they'll actually show you what they're doing and show you how it's done, right? It's one of those things where there's not really many opportunities that are like this, where you have not only the income opportunity, but also like the level of support as you're starting something like this, which I think is like a big thing. But if those are kind of things that are coming up, they got to get a lot clear on like why they would want to even do this in the first place. And if you can get them to talk about that stuff, right? Like if they're coming up with all those fear things and you get them to talk about like why they want to do it, who's going to get impacted other than them, right? Their family, their friends, like what do they want to do? Is there any charitable organizations or things that they want to be able to give back to? Like really find out what they really want to do, right? And then showing them that this is a vehicle that can actually turn that into a reality. What other vehicle do they have that's actually going to do that? Likely none.
I love this. Oh my gosh, go off. This is crazy. It's so good, Jang. So good. So many things I want to say. Yeah, this business has allowed me to buy a house. It's allowed me to donate to charities. I was even invited to St. Jude, like charity function in the Hamptons because I donated so much to them. Like, it's like just incredible and it's allowed Jang to start a business. Like, you guys, this is just, I love this call so much, Jang. You are offering so much value. I just want to give my just heartfelt thank you so much. I'm going to message you privately after this, but wow, this has been so incredible.